Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to this week's episode of Sidewalk Docs. I hope you all had a really spooky Halloween. Every year for Halloween, DJs all across the country play some of the biggest parties, and they always take the opportunity to dress up in some really crazy costumes. So this year, we're going to look at who had the spookiest, the funniest, the best coordinated, and the laziest costumes, as well as some of my other favorites that I've seen on Twitter and Instagram. So let's start with the spookiest costumes. First off, we have Rez, who dressed up as Rezi Kruger. She did an awesome job with this costume. I think it really fits her music super well, and the editing in these photos are awesome as well. Next we have Steve Aoki, and honestly, I'm not sure who he's supposed to be, and it's probably my fault because I don't like horror movies that much, but he still did an awesome job with the costume nonetheless. And next up we have the Nervo girls, who went as vampires and look like they're right out of Twilight, which is pretty awesome. I have to go with Rezi Kruger as the spookiest DJ of 2018 because of the awesome claws as well as how on brand this costume is for her. Alright, next we have the funniest costumes. So let's start with two friends who went as Future Bass and Tropical House. I think this is a really creative spin on a funny costume because it took me a second to get, but it's going with some of the trendiest genres right now and sort of poking fun of them, which is pretty funny. So good job, two friends. Next we have Dylan Francis, who went as a girls' night out, and all I can say is he did a great job looking like a Valley girl. I really hope that he had a great night and probably ended up at One Oak. Really good job with the costume, just very funny and good coordination as well with his friends. Next we have Vice Tone, who did a classic DJ costume where they're ghost producers. And I think it's a funny way to show off your studio a little bit and poke fun at sort of just like the EDM culture. So good job, Vice Tone. And next we have Alesso, who did Post Malone. And I think he did an awesome job with this costume. Right down, he has the neck tattoos, he has all the face tattoos correctly. He even wears a shirt that Post Malone would wear. Really good costume, Alesso, very on point. Another one we have is the Lost Kings doing WrestleMania. This one was very, very funny. I think they really nailed it, and also it's quite well coordinated, so it's just a really good buddy costume as Ric Flair and Randy Savage, so I just think they did an awesome job, and I'm sure they had a lot of fun with it too. Next we have Zed, who went as Wonder Woman with just a little bit of chest hair, and I think he just rocked this costume, and I think it's just a great costume for him. Yeah. Super powerful. Go off, Zed. You're dope as Wonder Woman. And finally, we have Diplo. And it's sort of unfair because Diplo kind of has 5 entries. He literally dressed up as 5 different people over the course of Halloween. It seems like it might be his favorite holiday. He really went all out. But first of all, I want to know, who's a better Dua Lipa? Dua Lipa or Diplo? For Housey's Halloween party, that was DC Comics and I think specifically Batman themed. He went as Mr. Penguin's penguin, so not Mr. Penguin, but one of Mr. Penguin's penguins. Diplo was a penguin that Mr. Penguin owned, a penguin of Mr. Penguin, Mr. Penguin's penguin. And then he went as, not from Batman, but as Two-Face. I don't really know who this is, but, you know, good job, Diplo. I think it's yeah, pretty solid costume. And then he went as one of his great-grandparents, Thomas Pence II, Esquire, and I think he did a wonderful job with this costume as well. Yeah, it's just a pretty, I don't know, I feel like his great-grandfather was a pretty dope fighter in the Revolutionary War. It seems like he definitely had the dress for it, and if you dress well, you have success, right? That's what happens. Finally, another WrestleMania-type costume. Diplo was Hulk Hogan, and he's definitely a little less jacked than the actual Hulk Hogan, but otherwise I feel like he did a pretty good job with this costume, and definitely with the caption as well. Just does a, yeah, really great job, Diplo. Good job, brother. Finally, for funniest, we have Elenium, who dressed up as Dumbledore, and his costume is super funny. I can only imagine how it'd be for him to see and jump around with that whole costume on. I feel like it'd be so hot, but it looks super funny, and I feel like he probably had a great night, so totally worth it. For funniest costume, I'm going to have to go with Diplo. I think overall, Diplo just rocked it, everything he did, and everything was so original and so different. Now let's move on to most coordinated. These are DJ duos or DJ friends who dressed up together and went with a theme. So let's start with Big Gigantic, who went as Harry Potter, a classic, and did it quite well. Their costumes were magical. And then we have the Chainsmokers, who I think were really trying to change their sound even more and go as an emo band, but unfortunately it seems like Alex didn't get the message, or maybe they forgot their costumes in LA, and so, well, Drew was in an emo band and Alex was a sloth, so I guess it's a goth and a sloth. Louis the Child did a really good costume. They were peanut butter and jelly, and I think that's just kind of, they have a song called Peanut Butter and Jelly? I feel like they had a song called Peanut Butter and Jelly. I don't know, but they, pretty basic costumes, but I think it's like a really good DJ duo costume, and they look good, and then they had a funny thing with Zed too with their costume, so it's just a good classic, It's a classic food, classic costume. What more could you want? Then we had Bonnie and Clyde, who went as Trippie Redd and 6ix9ine. This one's kind of funny because for anyone who didn't know, Trippie Redd and 6ix9ine are beefing right now, so their whole story was that Trippie Redd and 6ix9ine made up and are now friends again and are hanging out at Halloween. But they went all out with the tattoos and everything, and I think they both just look super cool, and good backstory and good costumes, so that's pretty cool as well. And finally, we have a back-to-back-to-back-to-back costume with Wookie, Nitty Gritty, GTA, and Valentino Khan all dressing up as a mariachi band and just really rocking the outfit. So I think for this category, I'm gonna have to say that they won it. They're actually all individual DJs, and so I can only imagine the coordination that went into getting this mariachi band together, and they look super good, and good job to everyone in that category. That was probably my favorite category to look at. All right, now let's look at laziest, and I'm sorry, some people really just nailed it on Halloween, and some people just didn't quite get to that bar, so these are some of the costumes that I saw that just weren't quite as good. Snavs, you knew you had to post something for Halloween, and you didn't wear a costume, so you put in a couple of Photoshop things and a little bit of fake blood from Photoshop, a fake knife, and it's a pretty good Photoshop. I'll give you that. It's a pretty good Photoshop, but not a great costume. Sorry, bud. Marshmallow is in a costume. I feel like Marshmallow on Halloween should actually just be .com, because if everyone else is dressing up, shouldn't he not dress up? Anyway, I feel like this is technically a costume because I don't ever see him wear a purple sweatshirt, but a purple sweatshirt's not a costume. Come on, man. You're one of the top DJs in the world. You should be able to buy I don't know, maybe go as the Michelin Man. That'd be a good costume, right? The Michelin Man? I could see Marshmallow doing that. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe the mask is his costume and he's exempt from Halloween because he's always in a costume. I don't know. And finally, Sam Felt, who wore a very cool sports jacket, I must admit, but just having a sports jacket with Halloween things, I feel like doesn't quite cut it as what is a costume. I'm sorry, Sam, but I'm gonna have to put you on laziest costumes as well. I mean, you tried, and it's a cool coat, and you should definitely keep wearing it, but I feel like you could have done a David S. Pumpkins thing or something. Pretty cool jacket though, so not the laziest we've seen. I think in this category, drum roll please, Marshmallow. Sorry, but sweatshirt just isn't quite enough. Now, throughout Halloween, there were a whole bunch of other DJs that dressed up, and I couldn't get to them all, and also didn't quite know which category to put them in. My favorite costumes that I saw that I haven't mentioned was Alice in Wonderland, who actually got to DJ Halsey's party, and so she dressed up as Batman. She had a utility belt, the knife, and everything, and that was great. There was DJ 4B, who went as Post Malone as well, and he did a really good job with that costume. He had the Hennessy and everything. He didn't have the neck tattoos like Alesso, which is why I thought Alesso did just a little bit better, but he still really rocked the costume, and he looks super cool, so good job, DJ 4B. Then there was A-Track and Yeah Me Too, who played a back-to-back at Escape. Pretty dope costume. I think they coordinated pretty well and just looked pretty cool. So good costume, good back-to-back set. What more could you want, right? Really cool up-and-coming producer, Whipped Cream. She had the floral prints and the headbands and everything, and just super cool costume, so really rockin' Jimi Hendrix. And then we had Oliver Heldens, who's Bert, but it looks like he had a lot of fun DJing in it. So really good turnout this year in terms of different costumes. I think a whole bunch of DJs really went all out and had so much fun with it, and it was so much fun to look at all these different costumes. Who do you think wore the best costume? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great week.